Appellate jurisdiction.
This means they hear appeals against judgments from those lower courts.
Right, like a system of checks and balances.
Exactly, ensuring things are fair, that justice is served.
I can only imagine how many appeals they must get.
Oh, the workload is immense.
Yeah.
And it's not just appeals. They also have what we call supervisory jurisdiction.
Supervisory jurisdiction. Okay, that sounds pretty powerful.
It is. It means they have oversight over all those lower courts and tribunals within their state.
So they're like the quality control for the entire justice system in their area.
Exactly. Making sure everything's running smoothly according to the law.
What does that actually look like, this oversight?
Well, they can call for records from those lower courts to review their decisions.
Oh, okay.
They can set rules for how those courts operate.
So they're making sure everyone's following the same playbook.
Yep. And they can even prescribe the specific forms used for different legal matters, real nitty-gritty stuff.
Wow, so they're really shaping the way justice is delivered.
They are. And they also play a key role in appointing, promoting, and even disciplining members of the lower judiciary.
So they're responsible for the people who are delivering justice too.
It's all about consistency, ensuring a unified and efficient system across the state.
That's a huge responsibility.
It is.
And there's more.
Oh yeah, there's more. High courts are also what we call courts of record.
Courts of record.
This means their judgments carry special legal weight. They set precedents.
Precedent?
Yeah, meaning lower courts have to follow those rulings.
Oh, so their decisions have a lasting impact.
They shape the legal landscape, and their records are considered, well, irrefutable evidence in legal proceedings.
Their word is law, basically.
Pretty much. And with that power comes the authority to punish for contempt of court.
Contempt of court, we hear that term a lot, but what does it actually mean?
It's basically any action that disrespects the court or obstructs justice.
Okay, so like disobeying a court order.
Exactly. Or disrupting proceedings or publishing material that could undermine the court's authority.
So it's about protecting the integrity of the whole system.
Precisely. Can't have chaos in the courtroom.
Now, there's one last power we need to talk about, and I think it might be the most significant one.
Let's hear it.
Judicial review.
Ah, yes. The cornerstone of the High Court's role as guardian of the Constitution.
I know this is a big one for the UPSC folks.
Definitely a must-know. It gives high courts the authority to examine laws.
Laws passed by the legislature.
Exactly. And executive orders from the government.
To see if they're okay.
To see if they align with the Constitution.
And if they don't.
If a law clashes with the Constitution, the High Court can declare it invalid.
Wow. So they can basically overrule the government?
Not overrule, more like check their power, make sure everyone's playing by the rules.
Right. So they're a safeguard against the government overstepping its bounds.
Exactly. That separation of powers in action.
So with all these powers, all this responsibility, it makes sense why their independence is so protected.
Oh, absolutely. They can't be influenced if they're going to be the guardians of justice.
Right? Yeah, it makes perfect sense.
And that's why the Constitution, it lays out all sorts of safeguards to ensure that independence.
Like what kind of safeguards are we talking about?
Well, we've already touched on a few, like that appointment process.
Okay.
And that secure tenure they have.
Right. They can't be easily fired.
Exactly. But there's more, much more to protect them from any kind of undue pressure.
Like sec.
Well, one key safeguard is financial security.
Financial security, okay.
Their salaries, their allowances, they're fixed by Parliament.
Okay.
And they can't be reduced during their tenure.
So they're not worried about their paycheck being cut if they make a tough decision.
Exactly. No financial pressure allowed.
What else contributes to their financial independence?
All their expenses.
Like what kind of expenses?
Staff salaries, administrative costs, all that.
Okay.
It's charged to the consolidated fund of the state.
So they don't have to go begging for money every year?
Nope. They've got a steady stream, shielding them from political influence.
Smart. Keeps things separate.
Right.
What about talking about judges in Parliament? Are there any rules about that?
Oh, yeah, big time. There are restrictions on discussing the conduct of judges in Parliament or state legislatures.
So politicians can't just criticize them willy-nilly?
Exactly. It protects judges from undue scrutiny or pressure.
Creates a kind of buffer zone, right? So they can focus on doing their job.
Precisely. And it prevents those political winds from swaying legal decisions.
What about after their tenure? Can they just go back to practicing law?
Nope. Once they retire, high court judges are prohibited from practicing law in any court except the Supreme Court and other high courts.
Oh, interesting. So they can't go back and appear before the courts they used to preside over.
Exactly. Prevents conflicts of interest, keeps everything above board.
It's all about maintaining that image of impartiality.
Precisely. even the appearance of bias can be damaging.
So these safeguards are pretty comprehensive.
They are, and for good reason.
Yeah, judicial independence is crucial for a fair and just legal system.
Absolutely. And to really cement that separation,
Yeah.
the Constitution even directs states to separate the judiciary from the executive branch.
So no executive authorities can have any judicial powers.
That's right. Reinforces that autonomy, keeps those lines clear.
So it's not just about individual judges. It's about the whole branch being separate.
Exactly. It's about the system itself.
Wow. Okay, we've covered a lot. From the origins in British India to this intricate appointment process, all these powers, these safeguards.
It's a crash course in Indian civics.
It really is. And this is relevant for everyone, not just UPSC aspirants.
Oh, absolutely. It's about understanding your rights, how this system works.
Right. Knowledge is power, they say.
Exactly. The more you know, the better equipped you are to engage with the system, whether you're a lawyer preparing for the UPSC or just a citizen.
Right. It's about being an informed participant in our democracy.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
Now, for those aiming for those top UPSC scores, remember, this is just the starting point.
Oh, yeah, this is just the tip of the iceberg.
The exam might dive into specific judgments, debates about reforms, comparisons with other systems.
You got to go deep, analyze case studies, understand legal philosophies, be ready to argue for and against different approaches.
It's about showing that nuanced understanding, going beyond just the facts.
Exactly. You got to demonstrate that you can think like a legal scholar.
And for those listening, just to be more informed citizens, remember, this knowledge can help you navigate legal issues, hold those in power accountable.
It's empowering. It helps you understand your place in the system.
So, as we reflect on this intricate system, a big question comes to mind.
Shoot.
With all the cases, the backlog in the courts, the challenges India faces, how can the high court system be strengthened for the 21st century?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It is. Lawmakers, legal experts, even regular citizens are wrestling with this.
And there's no easy answer, but one key area that needs attention is that backlog of cases.
Justice delayed is justice denied, right?
Exactly. It affects everyone, creates uncertainty, prolongs suffering, undermines faith in the system.
So how do we tackle this massive backlog?
Well, increasing the number of judges is one obvious solution.
Okay, more hands on deck.
But it's not just about quantity.
Right, quality matters too.
We need judges who are well-trained, efficient, committed to those high standards of justice.
So it's not just about filling seats, it's about finding the right people.
Exactly. People with the skills, the experience, the right mindset.
What else can be done to streamline the process?
Technology. Embrace it. Imagine AI helping with case management, research, even drafting judgments.
Wow, so free up the judges to focus on the trickier parts of decision-making.
Exactly. It could revolutionize how courts operate.
Make them more efficient, more transparent, more accessible.
Precisely. And we can't forget about simplifying legal language.
Oh yeah, the law can be so dense and confusing.
It can be. Making things more user-friendly would empower citizens to engage with the system better.
Right. Remove those barriers, make justice more accessible to everyone.
Exactly. And then there's the issue of judicial training.
Training.
The world's changing rapidly, new challenges pop up all the time. Cybercrime, intellectual property, environmental law.
So judges need to keep up with the times.
They do. They need the latest knowledge, the expertise to handle those complex modern cases.
It's a constant learning process.
It is. And the Indian judiciary, they have a history of adapting.
Oh yeah.
From post-independence to globalization to the digital age, they've shown resilience, a willingness to evolve.
It's good to hear. The system's not stuck in the past.
Definitely not. It's dynamic, it's responsive.
So where does this leave us? What's the key takeaway?
The Indian high court system, even with its flaws and challenges, is vital to Indian democracy.
It's a system worth understanding, worth engaging with, worth improving.
Absolutely. It's our system, after all.
Whether you're prepping for the UPSC or just want to be a better citizen, understanding how these courts work is an investment in our future.
It's about recognizing that justice, it's a journey, a continuous process that needs all of us to participate.
Well said. Now, as we wrap up this deep dive, let's shift gears to some questions our listeners might have.
Sounds good. Let's see what's on people's minds.
What do you think are some of the burning questions folks might have after this exploration of the high court system?
Well, for those UPSC aspirants, I'm sure they're wondering how the high court system fits into the bigger picture.
Right. It's not operating in isolation.
Nope. How does it interact with Parliament, the executive branch, even independent bodies?